Argentina has granted a female ID to a 6-year-old who was born as a boy. Now, Argentina has decided to expand rights for the transgender community. And the reason why they're doing that is because back in the day, you would have to get approval from the government and from doctors indicating that you do identify as a certain sex. But in this case, they have decided that all you have to do is say, you know what, I don't identify as a boy, even though I was born as a boy, so give me a female ID and you can get it. So this is causing a little bit of a controversy because he's 6 years old, or I should say she is 6 years old. And people feel like, well, 6 is too young to make that decision. But I did a lot of research on gender identity, and I have some interesting facts on it. But before I get to that, I wanted to get Cenk's thoughts.
Yeah, you know, I've been torn about this issue in the past. So I feel like sometimes people jump the gun and make a lot of conclusions about a kid when they're, in my opinion, too young to know. But I don't really know because I have a couple of kids, but the oldest one is just 3. So I haven't had a personal experience with a 6-year-old enough to know that a 6-year-old would or wouldn't know their identity with absolute certainty, right? So if you're talking about sex change operations, well, obviously we're not talking about that, right? Those are permanent, et cetera, right? But in this case, I believe them. I don't think they're making it up, right? I mean, why would you? And I'm sure that they are absolutely convinced, otherwise they wouldn't have gone in this direction. So I lean on their side, obviously. Would I do it? I don't know. I might wait more. I might wait a little longer, right? But that's just a matter of opinion.
Yeah. So my take on it is, at the end of the day, it's just an ID. And so let's say this little girl changes her gender identity in the future, which is unlikely, by the way, and decides, you know what, I actually want to identify as a boy. Okay, well, thankfully you're in a very, very progressive country, at least progressive when it comes to this issue, and you just change your ID and you move on with your life. So it's not that big of a deal. But gender identity itself is a very, very complex issue. And there have, of course, been a number of studies and a lot of research done into gender identity to kind of determine when a person identifies as a boy or a girl. Mm-hmm. And it's fluid, right? But by the age of 3, you've pretty much decided what your gender identity is. And of course, there are biological factors that play a role, and biological factors play the largest role. And there are societal factors as well. But by 3, you usually decide, and by 6, you're usually unlikely to change what your gender identity is. It's really fascinating stuff. So this is according
I believe in science. There's some chance that science knows better than my random uneducated opinion on this matter.
There's a
Am I not merciful? Am I not merciful?
All right. So according to genderspectrum.org, most people have some sense of their gender identity between the ages of 2 and 4 years old. For most, this awareness remains stable over time. Identity becomes further refined at puberty onset and when puberty is more or less completed. So it's really, I think it's really interesting stuff. And
the flip side to that is, look, I believe that, obviously, right? But kids are kids, and they change their minds all the time, right? And now this is not a thing you change your mind about willy-nilly, I would imagine. Again, I haven't experienced it yet, so I don't know. But like you ask it, like, and because they're saying it starts at 2 to 4. Now, I have a 3-year-old son, so I do know the ages of 2 and 3 at least. And yeah, you'll be like, hey, did you do this? No. Did you do it? Yes. Okay, what do you want to do? Go to the beach. Okay, so we're going to the beach? Let's go to the airport. Right? Because they're kids, they're really, really young kids. So, again, my bias is to wait a little longer.
Right. I think the worst thing you can do is to try to change the kid, right? And that's not, and I know that's not what you're advocating for,
right, no.
But there are parents who will freak out. They'll notice that their little girl wants to play with the trucks and wants to, roughhouse outside with the other boys or whatever it is, and they'll freak out about it and try to make her play with dolls or whatever it is. That's when you're actually causing more harm, where you're causing more damage. Just allow them to grow. I think that the opposite end of that spectrum is when you have ultra-lib parents that are like, I will raise my child without a gender identity to allow him or her to decide for itself.
Oh, yeah, please,
that is also ridiculous. You refuse to refer to her as she, and you know what I mean. So I don't like that stuff either.
It's exhausting. It's like, okay, should we, today we wear a dress, the next day we wear pants. Just calm down, dude. Okay, just assume that if it has a penis, it's a boy and is into girls, and then you'll be wrong 10% of the time or 5% or whatever it is. And then when you know, then you can say, okay, great, now we know they're gay. Okay, calm down. Libs drive me crazy, man. I'm telling you, like, I know in this spectrum, political spectrum, I've said it a million times, but in this political spectrum, we're supposed to be considered like the total left-wing lib, right? But there's real liberals in the world.